And from Umrohan Wasak Day, let's shift our attention away because back to Indonesia now. We recently held general elections last February, and we've known that the aftermath sees the least number of Indonesian House of Representatives, or DPR members, below 40 years old in the post-Reformation era.
Right, and this was confirmed by the Center for Strategic and International Studies, or CSIS Indonesia, which recorded that 15% or 87 elected DPR members are below the age of 40. However, the recent elections have resulted in the highest number of women in the House compared to previous terms. So, how does the 2024-2029 Indonesian Parliament look like? Now, let's welcome our guest today in the studio, Gerindra politician Rahayu Saraswati and Democratic Party politician Rizky Natakusuma. Hi guys, welcome to the studio.
Hello, welcome to the studio.
Thank you so much.
How are you doing? Everything okay?
It's good to be back.
Good to be back. Well, you've been here before.
I've been here a
This
few
is the
times.
first time.
First time.
Well, a warm welcome to the first
warm
timer.
welcome,
Hopefully, it's going to be as warm as Saras keeps on coming back. So
Right, okay. Great studio, by the way. Very
Thank
proper.
you.
So let's start. Maybe I can start with you, Sarah. Now, the 2024 elections led to the lowest number of young House of Representatives, or DPR, members in the post-reform era. What do you think this is happening now?
No, I'm not surprised, honestly. I don't know about your experience, but my experience was very, very, very challenging. It's very challenging. It's a lot of hard work, and it's getting a lot tougher because of the system that's in place. For a lot of people who are watching from abroad, who don't understand the system of politics here in Indonesia, we have what's called an open election. So it's not only direct, but it's also that you choose directly the representative that you want to represent you, not just the party, but the individual.
Right.
Now, what happens with that is we also, one big challenge, unlike Singapore, we don't have a maximum spending cap, which means someone who has a budget of, let's say, 40 billion rupiah will be going against someone who might only have 500 million,
Right.
right? And going for the same seat. This past election, honestly, the pragmatism level was, I've never seen it of this level, of this scale. It was just very alarming. I'm not surprised that Mr. Prabowo, for example, he mentioned that it's just getting more and more expensive. Because honestly, and I feel one of the things that's really of concern for me is because I have a colleague who was running in the Regency and city level and provincial level. And and they've said, like, we've been taking care of our constituents. So these are who already was sitting, who have been sitting in their seats. They've taken care of their constituents. They sent them to hospital. They took care of them when they need help. They answer the call. And yet, when the time comes to choose, they've been disappointed because these people, their constituents, end up not choosing them. And when they ask, why? I helped you, I took care of you, I gave you solution to your problems. And they said, well, because you didn't give us money.
Right.
And so
Simple as that.
when we're talking about age, let's just be realistic here. A lot of us who are under 40, we don't necessarily have as much money as those who probably have unlimited funds. We come in with idealism, we come in with firepower, but if we're talking about the system of politics it is today, it's very difficult to bring idealism in a very pragmatic world. But maybe you can add to that.
Right.
That's my
Rizky,
experience.
Let's hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
Well, what she said.
That's it.
First of all, thank you for having me. I mean, a lot of merits to what she said just now. I think there are a lot of candidates, former MPs who I know personally, who have been working very hard for their constituents all across Indonesia, and they didn't come back because of this high-cost politics reality that we're facing today. But on the brighter side, I think the older generations of politicians also had their effective way of engaging with the younger populations in our country. If you look at the presidential election, for instance, the candidate that is winning the hearts and minds of the younger public was actually the oldest candidate. So I think there are a lot of things that we can learn from that also. But there's no doubt that we need to do more on making sure that the cost of politics is lower. There are a lot of young people across the country. Every time I go to my constituency, I would meet them. They're very passionate. They're very idealistic. They have ideas and courage in doing whatever they're thinking is necessary for the people they want to represent. But of course, they have very limited amount of budget. And I think, yes, some people may think it's a reality, but as a young person entering politics, I think that there are a lot of things that we should do more as a parliament. And there's a new incoming government coming in. There's an ambitious plans being set out. We're being encouraged because of that fact. So I think I hope it's going to get better. But I'm optimistic about the.
We like that.
We'll play good cop, bad cop.
I mean, one interesting fact is like, even though budget may be the issue, what do you think? Because there are still young people who've made it into and gotten seats again. What do you think has been the criteria? I mean, we know that according to data, there's been a large amount of new voters, right, in this time.
Yes.
And considering that there are, you would think that that would translate into trusting younger people, right, to regenerate into the politics. But what did it take for those who were successful, apart from budget, with your idealism? What kind of engagement did it take to effectively win over these votes? Or was it just
It took a while for my literally vocal cords to recover.
That explains it, right? Yeah.
I lost my voice, and it's not back to the way it was before.
Great singer.
Thank you.
We'll set it up after this talk.
Oh, no, please.
No?
It's ready.
But honestly, it really just, the only way that I found, I don't know about you, but the only way I thought was, the only way to go against the money politics and the pragmatism was to really meet with the people. And that meant, and I was meeting 5 to 8, rallies each day. Wow. Hence why I lost my voice even from the very beginning. So it was mentally, physically draining because also this was the shortest campaign time we've ever had. I mean, it was 75 days. That's never happened before. So in the past, we might be able to get away with only 4 rallies a day. I mean, this time it was impossible. So I think meeting people face to face and then telling them the reality. And I'm a very straightforward candidate, very straightforward person. I do things very differently from, I think, a lot of my colleagues, because again, it's usually you come in and you say, please vote for me, I will do whatever. And I just want to add one thing though, with the fact that 56% of voters were Gen Zs and millennials. But here's the thing, the CSIS data was until 40 years old. However, when I did my survey back in 2014, for example, the ideal age that they would vote for is between 35 to 45. Okay? So it might change a little bit now, but I don't think it has changed that much. So when I first went into politics ran as a candidate, I was under the ideal age. I was still 27 at that time. So we're going against so many different barriers. So again, it's the idea of what's the ideal age, and then the pragmatism, and so yeah, the only way is really just to meet with them and have that interaction to show that we're human beings. But however, please understand as well, our districts here in Indonesia, very large. It's not. Sometimes I meet with parliamentarians or House of Rep, congressmen, congresswomen in America, and they ask, okay, how many people are in their constituency? I'm like, 3 million. And they're just, excuse me, what? So it's very different. It's very different.
Ah, so, Rizky, how about you? That the extra effort, as social media presence, for instance, or what is it that makes a young person trustable?
I mean, social media has been very important, and it obviously plays a great role in many of our campaigns. It certainly helps with the younger generations. But I think the younger generations that came into politics and fought the last campaign, it could be very easy for them to slip on the presumption that they could win it just by air campaign methods.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas the reality
it's far from that.
You will learn when you're actually campaigning for the House of Representatives seat is that you have to be on the ground. You have to meet the people. You have to knock on doors.
Yes.
You have to talk to them. And then I think I also get the impression that people across Indonesia have sometimes felt that their politicians are kind of a little bit aloof and out of touch with the public. They think of themselves as their bosses, if you like, and there needs to be change in that. And I think people are starting to be aware of that. So being on the ground, knocking on doors, and actually meeting people, as she said, that's the best and most effective way of campaigning. But I think a combination of both. But again, being on the ground all the time, campaigning, meeting the people, that also requires some money being spent.
There you go.
There you go. I was thinking about that money too.
So politics is becoming more and more apparent. It's an expensive sport
Not cheap
in
at all.
Indonesia. So
We need to change it. That's the point. It needs to be changed.
There needs to be a lot of things being done on that area where we as lawmakers in the future, there needs to be something being done on that. I think the government has also seen that it is a vital area to be addressed, and I think the people are also voicing their concerns over the last election results.
And let's not forget one thing about the social media. That only works in cities.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
The suburbs.
When we go into the rural areas, that's not the case. But also, if we look at the surveys, I don't know about your survey, but people were saying, and this is why, apologies to the people of Indonesia when you saw so many different ballyhos and the posters. I mean, they were everywhere. But we did our survey, and people still, no matter what, a lot of them said that they made their decision based on the posters that they see.
Yeah, I hear that
because it was the easiest way to have our names and awareness, because if they don't know your name, how are they supposed to vote for you? So it's a very basic, it's a marketing 101. It's awareness, and then whether or not they like you, and then whether or not they will vote for you. It doesn't go immediately to they will vote for you. If you do not have traction in terms of awareness, and that's why in terms of social media only works if there's a way that you can somehow go viral and people can follow you. Otherwise, only your followers know you.
Yeah.
Right? More people who don't follow us.
Before we go for a short break, I'm really curious. You mentioned expensive sport. Can you mention a range? Not the exact number, but a range of,
Well, I'll be happy to go into the details after the show with you, but...
I'm very transparent.
But
I say
the bottom line is there is no cap.
There is no cap.
No, there is no cap. There's no cap. Someone in my district who won, the rumor is that he spent about 60 billion rupiah.
60 for one individual.
For one individual, and you will never get that back just from your salary. There's no way. There's no way. So, and you go to other. So again, the levels. We have 3 levels, right? We have the national. So I'm talking about national. National, that is insane. That is absolutely insane. When I was talking to my friends back in 2019, we were looking at the results, and we came to the conclusion that for national level, the average, you would say, okay, you'll need 10 billion.
That's
That's the average in 2019. It just
gone.
And just to be absolutely clear here, what we're saying is not we're not saying that people with extra money or with higher income shouldn't be allowed to get into politics and
No.
using full force of their own accounts. But what we're saying is there needs to be a level playing field.
Right.
So that people coming from privileged backgrounds, as well as people, the younger generations who live in the rural areas, you know, they're living on less than $1 or $2 a day, with sense of idealism, with a strong passion for their people. They actually deserve
Correct.
To be elected and to be having a fair shot in our country's politics today.
Good one.
Very well.
Well, Rahayu, Rizky, we're going to take a quick break right now. Guys, don't get you going anywhere because we're going to continue. We're going to come back, we're going to continue with the discussion here about the parliament phase of the next upcoming term in our DPR. So stay tuned to our new show. We'll be right back.